Welcome to Save the Associations. I'm Sarah Sladek, your host. Save the Associations is all about celebrating and spotlighting the associations that are stepping up in a time of great challenge or change. Whether they are responding to executive orders or modernizing and adapting alongside AI, or making room for the next generation, Gen Z, which now outnumbers the baby boomers in the workforce. In either case, we're focusing on associations who are leading the way in these core areas, taking a moment to share best practices with other associations and celebrate what associations are doing to save themselves from disengagement, decline, or simply falling behind. It's important in a time of change to stay relevant and provide value to members. So thank you for tuning in and for all you're doing to help save the associations. This series is brought to you by XYZ University, a future-focused, next-gen intelligence community building expert. To learn more about XYZ University, please visit xyzuniversity.com. And now, on with the show. It's an honor now to be joined by Scott Wiley with Cornet Global. Scott, will you take a moment to introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Sarah, thanks so much for having me. And hello, everyone. As Sarah shared, I'm Scott Wiley. I'm the CEO of Cornet Global, and we're the Global Association for Corporate Real Estate Professionals.
Let's talk about AI. So in late 2024, Cornet Global Summit attendees predicted AI would disrupt corporate real estate. And I'm curious to know, because even though that was, 6 to 8 months ago, a lot of change has happened. So I'm curious to know what's happened since then. Is AI disrupting the profession as predicted?
Hard stop, yes. So let's back that up a little bit. AI is disrupting our profession, as is others, and it's happening very fast. So you mentioned at our global summits, and we do 3 all around the world, in the Asia Pacific region, in Europe, Middle East, and I'm getting ready for that meeting now, as well as in here in the Americas region. But last year at those global summits, more than 70% of our attendees said that AI was already having a transformative and significant impact. I suspect that number is going to be north of 85% when we ask it again this year. So
Wow.
For our industry, where we're seeing it is everywhere, but think lease management, in facility strategy, portfolio strategy, and increasingly in location intelligence. I was watching a special on CNBC yesterday. Here in the US, they just announced the best states for business. And they talk significantly about data and tech investment and how AI is informing that. So this isn't the future talking. It's happening right now.
It's crazy. And it's happening so incredibly fast,
Yeah.
right? So what is Cornet Global doing to help prepare members for advancements in AI?
Well, it's one thing to say it's not the future, it's now, and then it's another thing to back that up. And we're trying to be an organization that isn't just to back it up, but to lead the way. So we're helping our members move from curiosity to capability. So a couple examples. In May, we hosted 2 major events in Silicon Valley. One at Google's headquarters in Sunnyvale, where we brought together our corporate partners from all over the world, industry executives, and while they were there together, our members saw real artificial intelligence applications as it relates to the workplace experience. So again, our people are really trying to create the places and spaces that help the people and the purpose come to life. So how are we using generative AI tools to really do that work? So not the theory, but the tactics and the practice. The week prior, I was able to join 250 of our members at OpenAI's headquarters. Our Northern California chapter, which is our second largest globally, hosted this event. It was standing room only. It was one of our fastest sellout events ever. We're not just talking about AI, we're showing our members what it looks like in action.
I love that. It's so, and obviously in a multitude of ways, AI is coming into play. I'm curious if you had to guess like the most popular way your members are using AI right now, like what would that one thing be that they're using it most for? And again, this might just be a guess, but
Yeah.
curious.
My sense is probably a couple of them would slap me if I said this, but um, the most popular thing is to help probably make the least popular part of their job a little more efficient, exciting, and less tedious.
Mm,
So I hear a number of them telling me in one-off or small group conversations about how they're using AI tools in their work teams, in their places, to really help them with lease administration, to really evaluate what are in these leases. You think about a leading global 50 company, an F50 company, the number of leases they have across their portfolio all over the world is immense. But they're able to put those leases into their AI tools and understand what are some of those terms. Are they using all the square footage the way they can? So they're really using it to try to drive greater efficiency, but also higher levels of effectiveness.
yeah, fascinating. So now let's flip it.
Yeah.
How are you preparing the association for AI?
I put out a challenge to our entire global team. So we've got, our our core, if you will, we won't use our core office. I will not use that HQ term. Is based out of Atlanta, Georgia, but we've got people all over the U.S. We've got global staff all over the world. So I put out a challenge about 100 days ago to our entire global team to get AI certified by September the 30th. And we gave all of our team the tools, the support they need. We partnered with Sidecar to really look at the AAIP certification. I myself have that. And we also put out an incentive for them to get that done. So that incentive involved all of our team getting that done by near the end of June and earning a couple extra PTO days around the holiday. 95% of our team, I'm so proud of them. They're highly competitive, got it done by that date in June, you know,
Wow.
and the remaining 5% are on track to complete that by September 30. But the best part wasn't oh, you're certified now. Our IT lead created a chat group for everyone to share their experiences, share their examples, encourage each other. We're remote right now as we're building out our own new space. And it created a community around the AI experience. And it's been fascinating to watch what people share and what they're testing, what they're trying, how they're using it in their work. It's been hilarious to watch. Some people have done some crazy things. It's been pretty funny, but it's been awesome to see how people are really coming together to say, "Oh my gosh, this is making my work that much more effective, more efficient. I'm using my time differently." So if we expect our members to embrace AI, and we're out there talking about AI, and we have to model that same commitment, I believe.
And as you're alluding to, things are happening really fast.
Oh,
You've only been in this job for 5 months, and you've motivated your whole team to get AI certified. That's amazing. But yeah, change is happening really fast. I'm curious, Scott, what do you think the future is going to bring? And I guess when we're talking about the future, we're talking about it could be 6 months from now, it could be 6 years from now. But what do you think the future is going to bring? How is AI going to impact membership and association operations?
I think, Sarah, AI is going to make associations smarter.
Mhm.
It's going to make us more personalized, more predictive, and more responsive. And that makes us more human, not less.
Mm,
Let me say it again. That makes us more human, not less. There's this idea, this undercurrent, this chatter that AI distances us from people. And I see it very differently. My experience leading our team, my own experience in using, my own experience coming from the accounting and finance space, AI clears the clutter so we can focus on what really matters, understanding our members, anticipating their needs, and showing up with relevancy and empathy. That's not replacing the human touch, it's amplifying it. And
mhm.
that's where associations can lead with real purpose. And I really think association leaders need to get real and have real difficult conversations with one another about this. I've been in too many discussions, too many group forums, too many conversations where people start to talk about the opportunity, but there's often this doom and gloom that must feel like it inserts, or we must talk about the risks to humanity. We should. And there's policy, but we cannot get stuck behind this. It's going to be hard. It's going to be fearful. We can do tough things. We can do hard things. And AI is not replacing human touch, it's amplifying it. And that is where we can lead.
Right. And I think associations have largely, there's a lot of minutia, there's a lot of detail and just administrative, and being able to free that up, to your point, helps associations get back to why they really exist in the first place,
Yeah.
which is serving members and being places of belonging. So I agree with what you said 100%.
Sarah, if I can, you
Yes.
just talked about that
Hmm.
there, this that level of repetition. It's almost like there's this rinse and repeat
Yes.
inherent culture of how associations do things. The annual meetings every October. Okay, it's March. We've got to launch the. Yeah, it's like rinse, repeat, rinse,
Yes.
repeat, rinse,
Yes.
repeat. And someone's got to stop the hamster cycle or the gerbil cycle or whatever it is. And we really need to get our head around, this idea that this can really be a game changer if we enable it to be, if we allow it to be, if we're willing to go there.
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
So the name of the show is Save the Associations. What is your top advice? What do you think should be the priority for associations right now so they can, prevent from disengagement, decline, falling behind? They can save their associations from all those things.
We need to resist the pull, that gravitational pull to legacy systems and legacy thinking.
Yeah.
It is slowly killing us. And we cannot watch it happen. So this conversation of relevance, we have to solve problems in real time. That means listening better, moving faster, and delivering value that our members, our stakeholders, our customers, right? Voice of the customer. It's okay to call them customers. Can't get anywhere else, right? The future won't wait, and neither should we. It, it is okay to try and fail. It is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to learn from error. It is not okay to be afraid of doing all those things and do nothing.
Mhm.
And that is okay to say too. Inaction is just that, inaction. And boards and members and industries and professions, they are moving. And we must move and lead with them. So we really need to kind of be their wing person, their wingman, their wing woman, whatever you want to call it, transforming with them. Even if we don't have all the answers, to wait until we do is going to require more jumps to get back to center, and it's just not a place we want to be.
Yeah, definitely not. We got to be leading the way,
Yeah.
not falling behind, not responding to the change. So, Scott, as always, you are an inspiration. I always love interviewing you and
I feel the
talking
same
to you.
about you.
And as you know, I like to end these conversations with a little celebratory dance. So,
Yeah.
congrats on all you have done. Yes, to get your association up to speed with AI. You're 5 months into a job, you're making waves. I love it.
Yeah,
Great.
you know what, never stop dancing, because once you do, the music's over and the party's ended, and
That's right. We got
you
to
don't
keep
want to
that
be that
party.
guy.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks
Thank you,
for all
Sarah.
you're doing to save the associations. It's
Thanks,
fantastic.
everyone. Stay busy out there.
Welcome to Tonya Egan from Kappa Delta Pi. I'm really excited to dive into this topic with you, Tonya. So, would you please share a little introduction for our audience?
Glad to. Happy to be here. So, I'm the CEO of KDP, And at KDP, we're a national professional association and honor society for educators.
Well, today we're diving into AI, but I want to just pause and recognize for a moment that education in and of itself is going through a whole heck of a lot of change. So your association is undoubtedly going through a whole heck of a lot of change too. Do you want to just give us a little overview to some of the changes that are happening right now in education?
Yes, ironically, we thought the pandemic was tough on education,
Yeah,
but this is all a next level. So
yeah,
obviously the continued issues for education, which have been teacher burnout, teacher low pay, but the level of the lack of respect for teachers has really increased over the past couple of years. So there's a really strong morale issue where students are disrespectful to teachers, parents are disrespectful to teachers. So we're having to do a lot more um, member support, if you will, on the mental health and wellness side than we would have 2 years ago. We continue, of course, to advocate and celebrate teachers and try to uphold them, to honor them in the way they deserve to be honored. But that really is the challenge right now. And then also, just the different racial challenges happening in schools have created a lot of conflict for some of our teachers as well. All of that impacts the culture of the school, the culture of the classroom, and the teacher's experience. And if we don't address that first, then we can't get to the curriculum and the lesson plans.
right, exactly.
Mhm.
It's really, really heavy.
Mhm.
It's really heavy stuff. And so when we think about weaving in AI to some of this as well, because that's all
Yeah,
changing, let's think about, I know KDP's been exploring the role of
yeah,
AI in education and how is AI expected to impact teachers in the
yeah.
classroom? What
Mhm.
what is happening right now and what's likely to happen?
Yeah. I'm really excited about what's happening in education because it's multifaceted. So, for a teacher and for the classroom, AI can enable a teacher, number one, to have that partner in the classroom. I mean, teachers need a helping hand always, and serving 30 to 40 individuals, but trying to do it in a cookie cutter way is a number one challenge for teachers. And so these AI tools are really going to allow our teachers to customize the curriculum to an individual learner's abilities. So whether a student has a disability, whether they have a different cultural background, whether they're advanced or struggling, the teacher can use AI to develop the lesson plan, first of all, which is thrilling for teachers because lesson plans and rubric creation is like the bane of all teachers' existence. So the fact that they can use these tools to create that, but also to customize it is going to be huge. And then there's a lot of tutoring support, grading. There's tools for grading. There's even tools for how to prepare for a parent discussion on a certain topic and based on what the parents cultural background or educational background might be, or maybe you're meeting with an aunt who's the guardian. And so rather than a teacher literally having to figure everything out from a blank slate, they can lean on AI to be that advisor, that guide, that brainstorming machine, if you will, but also create these tools that are just phenomenal. And then, of course, there's also the virtual reality experiences, the engagement. So, what teachers struggle with is how to get students excited and engaged about learning. And
Mhm.
AI has incredible suggestions and ideas for activities, as well as using those tech tools to get students engaged. So, it's a very long list of all the things that can happen for educators. And what we're doing at KDP is trying to figure out, how to find that core AI partner that will deliver top-notch AI support to our teacher members.
Yeah. So are there a variety of platforms or tools, or is that still being developed?
Yes,
What is kind of the go-to?
there's a variety, and this is where like we're learning a lot ourselves because they even with the variety grows of course daily. So there's some popular ones out there, but then I learn, oh, those do tutoring only, but they don't do this, and then you learn the next system does tutoring plus that. So what we're doing is piloting with our members some of the tools that are out there to see what really gets them to where they want to go. We're finding the tools that really can look at biases are important because a lot of teachers in America are still Caucasian females, and so but they're serving very diverse communities, so they need tools that are going to recognize and customize for those biases that they may not realize they have. So not all systems have spent as much time on developing culturally sensitive, AI tools.
Mhm.
And so we're leaning towards that because we want to make sure we address that. Also, gender biases and age biases, other things that can be written into the AI. So the important thing is there's many platforms, but it's figuring out what's really behind them and what's
Mhm.
informing them to make sure they're as human centric as possible with what their output is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's wild, as you're talking, it makes sense, but it's just something I haven't given a lot of thought to, but just the variables.
Yes.
Classroom to classroom, individual to individual, family life to family life, how that plays in education and region to region. Oh my
Every
gosh, there's
yes.
so many variables.
Geographic,
Oh, yeah.
rural versus
Language.
urban. But
Uh,
that's what the beauty is. A teacher can say, and especially a substitute teacher, I'm teaching, fifth grade in a rural school. The socioeconomic level is this. Um, what would a good lesson plan be on, learning state history, that kind of,
right,
so it can really customize versus a teacher sitting there going, okay, I need to teach about the state's history. What am I going to talk about? So they're
right.
phenomenal tools.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so in addition to kind of thinking about some of these tools and just AI as a whole, Uh, and what are you doing to actually train your members or prepare your members to utilize these tools or think about how to leverage AI?
All right. Well, right now we're having the conversations more on a small group level. So we have a knowledge development council that's talking about what does it look like. We're having online community conversations. Um, First, I guess I'm working to get staff and board more informed and utilizing AI so it makes so I can marry the two, I guess, because
Yeah.
just having our members can't advance more quickly than the staff who are supporting them. So a lot of my where we are right now, which I call like phase 1.5, is really trying to get the work on the staff culture and competencies while understanding in conversations with the teacher members what is it they want and need, what are they already utilizing, and we're meeting with partner prospects to find that core AI partner for KDP.
Yeah. And many of your staff have gone through AI training, right?
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
at first I think we dabbled like a lot of people, and then you have those early adopters
Yes. Yes.
that wow all of us, and we sit back and go, I can't do that. But I think I realized through other trainings I went to that as a leader it's my responsibility to make sure our organization moves into the AI era, and that means everyone. So I can't just let my techie staff um, take the lead. Everyone needs to. So all staff are required and almost completed an association. It's called Association AI Professional Certification, AAIP. and our board president even did it, which I was very impressed, and a couple board members are doing it now. So it's about a 12-hour program of learning the basics for associations of what AI can do for you. And then from there, we're going to start doing AI ideathons quarterly with staff coming together and really looking at an individual issue, tackling one issue at a time. But it's been hard in the sense that with AI, you can't strive for excellence. And even our tagline has the word excellence in it. And associations push ourselves so hard to be the best, the best, the best. AI is clunky and messy, and you have to be willing to fail and take risks. And so that's probably one of the biggest challenges in a culture that's been trained to be excellent is to now integrate this system that it's okay to feel, to not know what you don't know. And it's okay to realize it takes time and that we're going to have disappointments. So that for me has been, kind of a game changer to try to change the staff culture to embrace AI in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the educators and the experts are the learners.
Yeah.
A complete role shift.
It is. It
Yeah,
really
right,
is.
right.
It is.
So I'm curious, so you're leading, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. You've
Yeah.
been willing to say, okay, I need to do this too. I need to jump in
Yeah.
this boat. But also just expanding on that, how are you encouraging your team to adapt this and embrace this, especially considering all of the other changes and
Yeah.
challenges that are facing your association and education as a whole right now?
Yeah. I think the key is showing that the goal is to make our lives easier as staff in terms of less of the mundane daily tasks, but also it will make us smarter as staff. So we try to give examples. Sometimes it's just having fun with it, like here's how to create a cartoon character of yourself, and then people play around with it. But a lot of it is saying, so much of what we do that takes an inordinate amount of time can be done by AI, which will enable us to spend more time on relationships, member engagement, on the fun stuff. So we try to really emphasize, AI can lead to more fun. Let's get all the harder work and the data analysis. But it's hard, I think, because as association staff, we're trained to think of transactional data. We measure attendance, participation, number of certificates. Well, AI looks at your unstructured data, which is something that is the essence of an association, but we never think about it. So, what's being said in our online communities? What's happening in our social media posts? What are we saying in our emails? What are our documents showing? So, AI can pull together all that unstructured data, which is actually far more valuable. And then it can analyze the member sentiment and give recommendations. Here's where your gaps are. Here's what members seem to like. So I think for us, like that's what we're working on. Like we haven't figured out, we're implementing now, how to do this unstructured data, but it's very exciting because think of all that richness of information that every day we're doing, but instead we're only going to the membership database going, how many people do we have? How many showed up? How many? And then now we can really capture the whole essence of our member experience and make informed decisions that way. So I think that excites the staff because it's like, oh, all these other things we're doing have value greater than we ever anticipated. And now it's going to help us quickly learn what the sentiment is and how to pivot more quickly. Instead of us sitting around going, well, I heard a member say this, I heard a group say that. The AI will bring all of that together. It also can get our systems talking to each other because, even on staff, we've got the marketing team that has their metrics and we've got the database and we've got this. And then we're sitting there looking at all this data, overwhelmed, going, what do we do with it? Well, AI can integrate all of these data systems in a member centric way. And so that is really our ultimate goal, is to get there to where AI is our thought partner, bringing all that data together and analyzing it, and then helping us determine gaps, solutions, what's working, what's not working. So I think just helping staff understand the big picture and the potential, and reassuring staff this isn't to get rid of jobs at all. This is to some jobs may need to evolve and be different, because hopefully they're more member centric and less admin centric. But that's a big issue too, because I've heard a lot of um, organizations, staff are very resistant because they're thinking it's going to cost me my job. So we're very transparent about that and bring that up a lot, that this is not to downsize staff. This is to transform our effectiveness and our efficiency.
Well, it sounds like you're really, really leveraging the tool to showcase member value and track member experience, and then tweak and really, really understand the data. And that is so powerful.
Yeah.
That allows you to do your job even better, right? Because you can
Yes.
tweak as needed, and you have the information to show where you're accelerating and doing good work and where you need to adjust. And that is really, really powerful.
Yeah. It
Knowledge.
really is.
Mhm.
And and then seeing some of the metrics about, the personalization is what our number one challenge is, how to make 20,000 members not
Yeah,
feel like a cookie cutter experience. And
right.
the only way to do that is with AI. Like, there is no way we as individuals could sit around. But I'm really excited about that, because and we haven't got there yet, but the
It's
research,
2.5.
yeah, the research says if we can personalize our content communications, it goes up fivefold the
Mm,
usage, which of course opens up more opportunity for ads and sponsorships, and because
mm,
they want to see engagement. And so AI, by really engaging our members in the content or in the newsletters or in the videos, now we also open up better sponsorship and advertising opportunities. So it's going to help diversify revenue as well,
right,
and
right.
keep our members happy,
Yes,
which also
exactly.
diversifies
It's a
revenue.
win-win, right? It's a
Yes.
win-win. All right. So the name of the show is Save the Associations. I'm
Yeah.
curious, Tonya, what do you think is the most important thing associations need to be doing right now to help prevent, running into disengagement, decline, falling behind,
Yeah.
and really save their associations from all those
Yeah.
bad things?
Well, I do think, I mean, we have to be relevant, not just for today, but for tomorrow. And for me, that really is where AI comes in, and the pressure on associations to integrate AI. I mean, it has to be integrated into everything we say and do, just like it's no different than the internet. It's not separate, it's now part of everything we say and do. So we have to do that, because the only way to keep up with the Joneses, which in our world is Netflix, Amazon, all the AI tools that our members are very comfortable and used to using, we're going to have to find a way to integrate that in our systems. Because if we start, we need to get rid of all the friction we possibly can for members. So I do think this next challenge for us as associations is really looking at that marrying the human and the technology so it's seamless, and getting rid of any issues, any delays, anything that is going to cause a hiccup and an annoyance for a member. But it also, I think, for us as associations, we have to personalize the experience. If someone's showing up, they want to be served as meet them where they are. They don't want to fit themselves into a box. They don't want to navigate complex things. They want the organization to meet them where they are. And that's a big shift, huge shift from the days when an association can be like, this is our conference, welcome. And the member adjusts to the culture of the conference or adjust. No, we adjust to them now, and which is why we need these AI tools.
Yeah. Tremendous opportunity on the horizon
Yeah.
to create those cultures of belonging
Yes.
and make sure you're really delivering value. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, I like to end these videos with little dances because
Whoa, yes.
yes, so join me in some dance moves because wow,
Let's do the
education,
roll.
yes, education has been through it and KDP keeps rising above and doing great things. So
Yeah.
congrats
We're
us
doing a
all.
line dance at our board meeting.
Are you? Oh, I
Yes.
love that idea. That sounds
A
fun.
board staff line dance. Boots on the
Ooh.
ground.
Oh,
Boots
nice.
on the ground
I
because
want
teachers
pictures.
are boots on the ground. So we're going to dance to it.
Yes, that sounds so fun. Got to take time for fun, right? Well, thank you, Tonya, for being on the show and for all you're doing to help
Yeah.
save the associations.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everything you do and for guiding us. You're the best.
Welcome to the show, Jeff. I am excited to welcome Jeff Bernstein. And Jeff, I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I'm the president of the Association for Advancing Automation. I've been with the association for over 4 decades. I have a lot of experience in trade associations. And we're the largest robotics and automation trade group in the world. We have over, well, pretty close to 1,400 member companies right now. And we're a very active organization, not just in the US, but around the world.
Okay. So Association for Advancing Automation, you're known as A3 for short.
Right. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, so as a tech-based association, A3 was probably better prepared for AI, better prepared than most associations. But I'm curious to know, is there anything about AI recently, any recent advancements that have challenged or surprised A3?
Well, I think, when ChatGPT first emerged, it kind of surprised a lot of people, right? And it made AI accessible for um, people who really hadn't had any experience with it, were uncertain about what it even was. And so we've been trying to educate our members on how they can take advantage of AI. In fact, that was one of the keynote talks we had at our annual members only business forum earlier this year in January, focused on how to use tools like ChatGPT to become more productive and to make your business more successful.
Yeah. Well, future proofing and workforce training has been a focus for A3, as I understand it. And I'd like for you, since we have associations tuning in to this show, I'd like you to be specific. So specifically, what is the association doing to prepare its members for a changing workforce environment and advancements in AI?
Well, we have an education department that is providing training courses on AI that the members can register for, either in person or online, that will
Mhm.
teach them basic information about how to use them in their company. And of course, there are ways that we can use them individually, but this training is more about companies. And then in terms of workforce development, one of the problems we have as a country is we have a lack of skilled workers in that could really apply robotics and AI and all these other technologies successfully. When you compare us to countries like China, where there are hundreds of thousands of engineers graduating each year and not that many here in the US. So we do a lot on workforce development, curriculum development, and work with schools and community colleges and other training institutes to try and make sure that they have access to the information that will help make sure that the next generation of the workforce is better prepared for the jobs of the future.
Yeah, that's so important. I love that you're working with schools on curriculum. And when we're talking about your member industries and professional paths, maybe just clarify for our audience what we're talking about in terms of area, careers. Is it specific to engineering? Do you have a variety of professions you're representing?
Yeah, we do. So our membership is made up of people from really the entire ecosystem of automation. So you have companies that make equipment, you have companies that integrate that robots and other equipment. You have component suppliers, they need motors and they need cameras and everything, and of course robots. Then you have consulting firms, you have educational institutes, and what makes us a little different from many trade groups, we have a lot of end user companies that are members. So they could be in any industry. So people are coming to us from um, consumer goods industry, companies like Procter and Gamble are members of our association, or 3M, and looking for what we can do to help educate them on how to successfully apply the technologies that our members make.
All right, fantastic. So you're helping with future proofing, you're helping with workforce development, with training, education, all of that. Okay, so that's outward facing. What about internally? What is A3 doing to help prepare the association for AI?
Our staff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
staff, operations, how is AI being
Yeah,
used?
so more and more of our staff are actually using AI in their daily job to develop
Mhm.
ideas and to, come up with campaigns, and that's the first step. And then of course people edit it, but it's becoming a tool that many of our teammates use, and we've had training programs that we've provided internally on how to use some of these tools. So we want our staff to keep up with the latest advances in ChatGPT and what come after. And I think we're doing a pretty good job with that. Now I'm kind of old school, so I'm not myself really too skilled at it, but hopefully I'll get to that one at one point. I'll have time to do that. I got other things that I'm working on right now. But the newer generation of team member is certainly comfortable with some of these tools and is putting them to good use. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. And then I'm just curious, especially since this is kind of your industry, what do you think the future is going to bring? Do you think AI is going to continue to change association operations? Is it going to continue to change member value, member services? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think AI is going to have an impact in every facet of our lives, as machines get smarter, as the tools get better that we can use to get information much more quickly, or, one day maybe having machines in our home that we can just tell what we want it to do and it'll do it. And I think it'll make our lives easier in those ways. And we'll,
Mhm.
we'll see what other, there's obviously potential negative impacts of AI and other technologies, but pretty much that's on us as people. I mean, if we decide to use these technologies for evil purposes, that's a human issue, a human failing. That's not a technology failing. So hopefully we'll be able to take full advantage of them. A lot of people are looking at and using AI to find cures and treatments for diseases and cancer. And that is a great advancement potentially.
Mhm.
We all want that. Um, Robots that can help with our elderly population in their homes, keep them in their homes longer. If you have smart robots that can cook, clean, help somebody get from their chair into their bed. These are all things that could happen in the future as a result of both AI and robotics. And so let's hope that's our future, that these tools are there to serve us and that we take full advantage of them.
Mhm. And I noticed that A3 talks about future proofing quite a bit. And just curious, when you think about future proofing, whether it's for members or as an association, whatever the case may be, how do you define that? What is future proofing to you?
When I look at future proofing, I think of it as how do our member companies remain competitive? Look, this is a globally competitive world. There are companies, no matter what industry you're in, doing something around the globe that's competing with you. So you need to be the most productive. You have to have the best quality. You need to get your products to market as quickly as you can. That means you have to use the best tools, which often includes robotics, AI, and other automation technologies. And when it comes from a person standpoint, like if I were a young person today and I would look at the future, I would say I better be skilled and how to use these tools to my advantage. I better use it to make sure I'm on top of all the information I need to be on top of, that I can quickly produce something of value for my employer. This is, I think, critical that we embrace this. And this is why we work with schools, because we want to make sure that schools are teaching the right things to the students, because they're going to need to know an awful lot. And a lot of this stuff right now is done extracurricular. So, like, there's this big program called First Robotics or VEX Robotics. There are all these programs on robotics, and they take place after school. They're not part of the daily curriculum. We think it should be. We think we should start training kids from a very early age on these technologies that will help them be more employable and have better lives in the future.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're seeing, well, maybe not. Are we seeing schools in other countries incorporating robotics and AI in curriculum sooner?
I think so. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's more of an effort being made in other countries. There's
Yeah.
more embracing at an early age. And just, as one data point, like when you go to a trade show in the United States, including ours, we have a big show called Automate, takes place every year. About 45,000 people come to the show, there's thousands of companies. But you have to be 12 or older to come. And there's a good reason for that. It's a safety reason. But if you go to a show like that in Korea or China or elsewhere, there are little children there, and there are, 5, 6, 7-year-olds in there. The advantage to that is they're being exposed to the technology
Mm.
earlier. Disadvantage, you got to make sure you safeguard the kids. You got to make sure that they don't walk into a moving robot arm at the show. So that's the trade-off. But it is good that these other countries are making sure that children are being exposed early.
Right. It's critical.
Yeah.
The name of this show is Save the Associations, obviously. I'm curious from your opinion, where you sit, what do you consider kind of the top priority? What should the focus be for associations right now to make sure they're ahead of the curve, to make sure they're not encountering disengagement or decline, but stay relevant in a changing marketplace?
Well, I think associations need to stay on top of the latest trends in their industries. Obviously, we're doing with AI and robotics, but other associations, whatever their focus is, they need to be aware of what's happening, not just in their part of the world, but throughout the world, and what the future is going to look like that their members need to be aware of. Expose them to these trends, expose them to things they need to know, provide them a way to get information through your association that they need to have. I think those things are critical, and I'm sure most associations are doing that to one, level or another. But I think it's critical because otherwise you can't stay relevant to your membership base. And
Mhm.
we've grown quite a bit over the years in part because we've adapted to the needs of the members.
Yeah. And I just have to ask because we hear it so often. Those leaders or individuals that say, well, AI is scary or robots are scary. What is your response to that?
If you watch the Terminator movie, you would come away with that perspective.
Yeah,
There are other movies like that. Hollywood's done a good job of scaring people. Let's put it that
yeah,
way.
yeah,
Um, Unfortunately, that's not the reality of the case. Most of these technologies are there to help us, obviously. As I said, if you're going to use them for good purposes, if you're going to use them so that you can be better in your career, if you're going to use them so that your company can be more successful, and maybe as a result of being more competitive, win more business and hire more people rather than, lay off people. The future looks a lot differently through that lens than it does if you just focus on your fears. When you look at all the opportunities and all the things that these technologies can do, it's amazing what the future might look like. people are really good at coming up with new things to do. I mean, I always ask people when I give talks, I'd like a show of hands. How many of you in the room thought that 30 years ago there would be a good high-paying job called search engine optimization specialist? Well, nobody could have imagined that job, and yet we're paying a lot of people to do that today, and many others are as well. App developer for iPhone. Could have said that 30 years ago. There was no iPhone. So the world changes. We find new things to do. Unemployment is, knock on wood, is relatively low right now, and hopefully will stay that way, even as we expand the use of technologies. I mean, these technologies like robotics and AI were a very infancy stage not that long ago, and now they're being adopted at scale, and yet unemployment in the US is still relatively low, and it's actually fallen from the period of the Great Recession of 2008, 2009. So I think we have to have a attitude of how do we implement these to make sure that they benefit us as opposed to doing bad things. Like I said, a lot of people are using drone technology in military applications. That's a horrible use of technology, in my opinion. I don't think we should have drones targeting people, I don't approve of that. I would not approve of robots in the battlefield fighting wars. Now, look, there's some gray areas where we have unmanned airplanes, and some people say, well, aren't those robots? Well, not really, because they're being piloted by somebody who's actually, controlling them from someplace else. But if the decision is being made by a machine, if the airplane itself is making a decision, I'm not in favor of that.
Yeah. Fascinating things to think about. And it is definitely an era of change, which to me is always an era of opportunity. It depends on how you look at it, challenge or opportunity. So think about it as opportunity is important.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff, for being on the show. What I love to do at the end of the show, because we talk about kind of heavy things, is just have a little dance party. So join me in some dance moves. Thank you for all you're doing to help save the associations.
I like the dance
And
move.
yeah,
Let's
there
do
you
it.
go. Ooh,
Yeah.
very good, very good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you for all you're doing to help save the associations. Congrats on all the work A3 is doing.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
I'm excited to now welcome Bruce Moe to the show. Bruce, do you want to give us a brief introduction?
Sure. I am the Executive Director of the Missouri State Teachers Association. I've actually been with the association for now 36 years.
As I understand it, the association has been actively integrating AI to enhance member engagement and support. So I'd love to learn more about that. How are you, taking a really historic association and moving it way into the future?
Well, the way that we've started our journey was, I think, the way many associations are doing it, frankly, which is with a chatbot. So we initially implemented a chatbot called Betty, and that was a little over a year ago. We launched Betty in May of 2024. And, there wasn't really a mandate for doing something like that at the outset, but it seemed necessary to keep us fresh and moving forward to try something novel. And well, like many organizations, we hear frustration about not being able to find things on our website. So that was the initial impetus, was to make navigation and finding information easier.
All right, so you launched Betty the chatbot, and did you name it Betty?
We did, actually.
You did. Okay, what
Yeah.
is the story behind that?
So we decided to name our chatbot Tilly. And the story behind Tilly is our very first female president back in 1919 was a woman named Matilda Keck, who went by the name Tilly. And she was not only the first president of the Missouri State Teachers Association, she was also a pioneer in women's suffrage, and very active in early childhood education. She seemed like a great choice to be a persona for Tilly.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that history and tying that. I'm sure Tilly never imagined that she would be a chatbot in the future. Um, all right. So you also encouraged your staff to learn about AI, which I think is so interesting. And again, for those associations that might be tuning in, and this is brand new to them, let's get in the nitty-gritty for just a moment here. Specifically, what has staff been learning, and how is that helping the association improve its services to members?
Sure. So I think let me back up and put that decision in context. I am a firm believer that I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know how technology is, for example, is going to be applied by my staff in their particular role. I might have a guess, but so it was important from my perspective for them to learn the background, to have the deep understanding of what AI is, so that they would know how to apply the technology to their job, not just broadly in the association, but to what they do on a day-to-day basis. So the approach we took was to find a training resource that was focused on associations. And what we ended up using was Sidecar's AI Learning Hub. And I offered that to all of my staff, regardless of position or role in the organization. And just to sweeten the pot a little bit, I offered a monetary bonus for everybody who finished the training and got certified. And I think between the opportunity and the incentive, we got good engagement on it.
That's so great. So yes, definitely. So now, is the whole staff certified? Part of the staff certified?
We have about 45 staff members, and 33 right now have gone through the full process and are certified, and the remainder are at some stage in that process. But very pleased with how that's been picked up by staff.
So how did you so you incented people? Were there other tricks you had to use to get people on board and excited about the adoption of AI?
Well, we talked about it a lot. I talked about it in all staff meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I went through the process first, or among the first, and I made a big deal about the fact that the old man in the group, got the certification done, and put it on LinkedIn and
Mm-hmm.
put it in my email signature, so that every time the staff received a note from me, they saw that I was doing it, and I think that was
Mm-hmm.
really important.
Oh, absolutely. Leading by example, right?
Yeah.
All right. So how has the focus on AI actually impacted the association? Have you seen measurable outcomes since starting this journey, either in membership and operations and other capacities?
Sure. The first thing that we saw with Tilly is a relatively rapid pickup by our members of using Tilly to answer basic questions about the association, about our services, information on the website. What we didn't anticipate, and which was quite surprising to us, was that our members started asking Tilly to do things that we hadn't expected. So, for example, we're a teachers organization, and one of the things that we saw teachers begin to ask for was help with lesson plans, or creating rubrics for a lesson, or quizzes, or writing a recommendation letter. And so we were trying to figure out how to get in front of that and use it. So one of the things that we did, realizing how they were wanting to use the technology, was we had our chatbot Tilly trained on the state learning standards so that the information they were getting would be aligned with the state requirements. And so that sort of created a virtuous cycle where it became more usable, more useful for the members. Um, and it was a surprising and great serendipitous example of how you can't always anticipate how the technology is going to go.
Well, and you've created this 24/7 access now for the association, and in a way, it's a study, an ongoing study in what your members are challenged with. So then the association can ultimately be able to respond in other ways with other resources and programs and services, right?
You are absolutely right. We monitor what questions are being asked so that we can address, for example, information on our website. If we're seeing constant stream of questions about a particular topic, then we can look for ways to make it more accessible or flesh it out more. Yeah, so that's certainly been the case. The other thing that we've seen with the use of Tilly is a reduction in the number of calls and emails into our member care center because we're seeing more self-service. Something I hope to see, but now that we've been at it a year, I can look back and see that we are seeing measurable results in that regard.
Which is nice.
It is very nice.
Frees you up to do other things and not
Yeah.
just put out fires all the time. Yeah. Okay. And I'm just curious, what's kind of what's on the horizon for the association in terms of AI? Are there other types of programming or deliverables that you're looking at, tools?
Yeah, we are currently piloting a common data platform built on a software called Member Junction, a vector-based database. And we are aggregating all of our AMS data, all of our information from Tilly, information from publicly available information about teachers in Missouri. And we're putting all of that together in one place so that it will be available for future AI agent type development. So that's something that we're working on right now. And then along with that, we think we're going to be able to extend Tilly to provide automated response by email. So when an email comes into our member care center, it can be directed to Tilly, and if she knows the answer, she can provide a response. So rather than waiting some period of time for a response, if Tilly knows the answer, then the members will get it immediately.
Right. And just curious, what's your response to those association executives or just anyone who says, oh, some of this scares me. I'm afraid it's going to take away jobs. I'm afraid it's going to compromise some of that human interaction. What is your response to those types of comments?
Well, I don't think it's going to do that. I think this technology frees us up to do what we as association leaders do best, which is that in-person, face-to-face conversation, problem solving. And what the AI tools are doing for us is relieving us of some of the tedium, the administrative things, and allows my staff to talk to members more.
Right, right. Okay, so that's fantastic. That's good. So the name of this show, of course, is Save the Associations, and I like to end these episodes with a little celebratory dance because you're doing something innovative and unique and different, and you're problem solving. And so we're going to celebrate that, right? So
Okay.
join me in some dance moves. All right, fantastic. I love it. And before we go, I just want to ask you real quick, Bruce, what do you consider the top priority for associations right now to make sure they can save their associations from any disengagement, decline, or simply becoming irrelevant?
I think the thing that we have to focus on right now is how to keep our value proposition fresh.
Mm.
It's changing so fast. The expectations for us from our members are changing rapidly. And so I think we have to run fast to keep our value proposition relevant and fresh.
I love that advice. Very good. Thank you so much, Bruce, for being on the show.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed the chat.
Thank you for tuning in to Save the Associations, and special thanks to our presenters for sharing their stories and ideas and best practices. This is a critical time for associations right now. It's a time to innovate. It's a time to lead the way, to get comfortable with disruption because we're being disrupted. We need to ensure that we are aligned with and serving our members to the best of our ability. And hopefully you learned some strategies for doing just that today. Save the Associations is brought to you by XYZ University, which is in the process of launching 2 amazing events that I need to tell you about very briefly. The first one is that XYZ University is launching an entirely new division of its company called Membership U. The first platform delivering courses, training, and community and certification entirely for membership professionals. So if you work for an association, you want to learn more about what works with membership and gain more best practices and training, Membership U is for you. Here's more information on how to access Membership U. Also, coming this fall in October in Washington, D.C. is the Next Gen Now Summit. XYZ University has brought together thought leaders from all over, representing all industries, notable individuals who are leading the way. They are disruptors, they are innovators, and they're seeing great results in terms of paving the way for the next generation right now. Here's where to register. You don't want to miss it. The Next Gen Now Summit coming to DC in October. See you there. And once again, thank you for tuning in, and thanks for all you do to help save the association.